Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Project Purpose Podcast. I'm your host, Sherelle, and on this podcast, we help ambitious women like you find clarity, gain confidence, and create the life she deserves. In today's episode, we're talking about building self leadership. Picture this. Two people standing in front of a pile of bricks. One is ready to build a house. The other still figuring out how to hold a hammer. Okay, I know that might be a little far stretch, but that's what it's like when you try to build a business, a marriage, or a legacy with someone before you've learned to manage your own life. So today's conversation is all about self leadership because if you can't lead yourself, right, financially, emotionally, and mentally, you'll struggle to lead with someone else. Whether that's in a romantic relationship, a business partnership, or even a community project. This is where a lot of dreams collapse, not because people didn't care, but because the foundation wasn't there. So let's talk about how to build you first so you can build with others. Let's dive in. Self leadership is more than just paying your bills on time or remembering to drink your water. It's the ability to set a vision, create habits, manage your emotions, and stay consistent without someone constantly checking in on you. Here's a financial twist. A 2023 Ramsey Solutions study found that 74% of people who describe themselves as financially successful also score high in personal discipline. That's not a coincidence, guys. If you're waiting for a business partner or a spouse to motivate you, you've been already behind. Partnerships are multipliers. They multiply strength, but they also multiply weaknesses. I mean, think of it like this. If you have no financial habits and you link up with someone else who has no financial habits, you don't magically become disciplined. You just double the chaos. So recently, I coached a young entrepreneur who was super talented, creative, brilliant ideas, but he kept missing deadlines, avoiding bookkeeping, and spending money as fast as it came in. He partnered with someone hoping he'd keep him accountable, right? But guess what happened? That person was just as disorganized. 6 months later, they weren't speaking, and the business was in debt, and the friendship was gone. What's the lesson? You have to bring stability to the table, not expect it from someone else. Let's talk about the three pillars of leadership. I'm going to break them down for you step by step. So there's leadership, right? Self leadership. So these are the three pillars of self leadership. The first pillar is financial leadership. This is all about where you need to know your numbers. This includes your income, your expenses, your debt, and your savings. According to FINRA, Only 34% of Americans can answer basic financial literacy questions correctly. That means two-thirds of us are building on shaky ground. This is also in financial leadership where we know for a fact that budgeting is non-negotiable. Budgeting is like your financial GPS. So, financial leadership is all about being comfortable with facing your numbers, knowing your numbers, see where you need to make adjustments, and make it accordingly. This is where you stick to a budget to stay on track, because without the budget, you understand that your money will be going anywhere it chooses as opposed to you dictating where your money goes. So that is the first pillar, that financial leadership. The second pillar is emotional leadership. This is all about where you master emotional intelligence. You can't lead and let your moods dictate things like your money or even your work ethics. So you have got to master managing stress without retail therapy. And you cannot ghost responsibilities when life gets overwhelming, right? In our business, our home based business, we often talk about being able to lead by example. And the life that you desire is on the other side of your comfort zone. So we often say you cannot build a financial empire with a minimum wage work ethic, which simply means you cannot just do things when you feel like doing it, right? You have got to know the future that you desire. And so you will do the thing that you need to do. You will do the things that is required to be done, regardless of the mood that you're in. We often also say, long before the emotion that you say it in has left you, you'll continue to do the things. So that is all about emotional leadership. The third pillar is time leadership. How you spend your time determines your future. As simple as that. In other words, if your calendar is chaotic, your results will be too. Time leadership is all about you building a routine that supports your priorities and not just your preferences. I believe to create self-leadership, all of these pillars need to be in place. We have to master our money. We have to know our numbers. We have to develop emotional intelligence, control our moods, own our responsibilities, and we have to master our time. We have to build, as I mentioned, routine that supports our priorities. Now, how do we truly become a person that others can build with? The good news about all of this is that self-leadership isn't a personality trait that you're born with, right? It's actually a skill that you develop. So here are 3 starting points to start developing your leadership, your self-leadership, that is. Number 1 is to audit your life. We all know what the word audit is, right? We often hear this in businesses, right? The auditors are coming, and we all know what that means. They are ready to look to make sure that the numbers are in place, the business is running properly. Another audit that we are often very concerned about is when we're being audited by the IRS. Oftentimes, this involves our finances. And they're truly looking to see if what we say is legit or if there's some things that are out of place. So, just like the IRS or the business, we need to learn how to audit our lives. What does that look like? We all know when the areas are good, that's great. So, you first look at what's good, you celebrate it a little bit, and you move on. We truly want to focus on the areas that are disorganized. Is it in your money? Is it in your health? Is it in your time? Or is it in your relationships? The idea behind auditing your life is to find the area that's disorganized. It could be one, it could be more than one, and we start improving them one by one. What does that simply look like? Well, for example, with the money, we may be great at our health, right? We may spend hours in the gym, we know the right food to eat, and we are very active with our social life. However, the money is a problem, right? There's no money in the bank. That means we need to figure out ways to make money. That's one audit, right? It's disorganized. You're one month you have money, the next month you don't. What's going on? The whole idea of building sustainable wealth is to figure out ways to have ongoing multiple streams of income. What about your health? You might have the money, right? You might be making amazing money and you're super career driven and very ambitious, but your health is suffering. You don't exercise and you eat junk food all the time. You're losing your health. But when you're auditing your life, health is a part of your wealth. So you need to figure out a way to find the balance. The same thing goes for time. You might know that it's very important to be healthy and live a healthy lifestyle. And you know that it's equally important to make money. So you might be doing your best to do both. And eventually you might get stressed because somehow you're not managing the time between making money and staying healthy. And finally, there could be relationships. You could be great with all three of the first one that we just talked about: the money, the health, the time, but you suck at relationships, right? What is the sense in having all the money in the world and being super healthy and being able to have time management? Maybe you are into traveling or just, giving back to your community, but you have no special one to spend it with. It's important to build relationships, and relationships is not just between a man and a woman. It's, relationships with your family members, your parents, your children, relationships in your community, how with your siblings, how are you nurturing that relationship? So all areas are important, and this is a part of auditing your life to see which area is disorganized and to improve it. The next starting point that we want to talk about in becoming the person that others can build with is to create non-negotiables. This simply means things that you are doing on a consistent basis, and regardless of what's going on, you choose to continue to do these things, right? Eventually they become habits. Good habits, that is, right? An example could be, again, that you select 3 daily habits that you're committed to doing no matter what. For example, it could be to exercise. We just talked about it. You could decide that every day I exercise no matter what. Every day I read 10 pages of a book no matter what. Every day I track my spending no matter what, right? So those are non-negotiables that you create, daily habits that you form, that you're committed to regardless of the mood you're in, regardless of how the day is going. Those are your non-negotiables. And number 3 in the starting point is to practice money meetings with yourself. I know that might sound a little cuckoo, but in essence, this is you putting it on your calendar, just like you pencil in anything else, meeting with the boss, meeting with a client, your exercise, playing balls with the boys on the weekends, or going shopping with the girls. You should also pencil in on your calendar a financial meeting with myself, right? Money meetings with myself. This often could be like once a week, shouldn't go more than, twice a month, right? So every 2 weeks, but most often I would say once a week. You sit down, you review your budget, you review your goals, you look at your goals, you look at your spending habits again. And in essence, this meeting is with your future self, because how you're living right now, right? How you're budgeting your money, how you're managing your money, how you're setting long-term goals is a representation of the future self. It's a representation of what your future life will look like. So this is very important, and it is all about a part of becoming that person that others can build with, right? Becoming that, self leadership person. When you show up and when you show that you can handle your own commitments, people will trust you with other shared commitments. Here's another statistics that I want to share with you, and it's worth remembering. Harvard Business Review reports that high self management individuals are 3 times more likely to be offered leadership opportunities. This is both in businesses and in life. So keep that in mind. Now, self leadership is work. You have got to put in the work. There is nothing glamorous about self leadership, right? It's not going to get you 1,000 likes on Instagram overnight. But what it does is that it will make you the kind of person that people want to build with, trust with their vision, and follow into big opportunities. So I know that I'm personally working on self leadership, right? Becoming a better person, developing yourself, leading yourself. And I strongly encourage you to start looking into the idea to do the same for yourself. In our next episode, we'll be talking and really tackling a relationship truth bomb, which is how money issues can destroy love faster than infidelity, and what to do about it before it happens. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you will not miss that episode. And be sure to share this one with a friend who needs to continue to, or maybe to start developing self leadership. Remember, build you first, then build with others. That's how you create something that lasts. That is it for this episode, my friend. Until the next episode, bye for now.